I didn't I didn't hear this, but I was aware of it before. But he did remind me of it. We know that CJ has caught some heat for wearing gear of teams that you would consider rivals of the Astros. We know about the Mariners hat. It was one of those you know things where it's likely a tribute to a rapper who passed away. Sorry, I've got a lot of sports knowledge in my head now. I'm blanking on the name.
Nipsey Hussle.
Nipsey Hussle. There it is. It was likely a tribute to him, and also he had a Yankees hat on, which you can't really explain other than how he did it. He said he liked the fit. It's not really a thing, but when you are bad, it becomes a thing. It's just the cycle. When if your quarterback's 3-0 and he's thrown 6 touchdowns and 1 pick and looks great, yeah, wear whatever you want. It's not like the Astros are losing because you're wearing a hat. But now you're just annoying. Like no one wants to watch you throw that pick to Jordan Lewis. No one wants you to miss throws that you at least in your rookie year hit, and then you top it all off by wearing those 2 hats at a time where the Astros were fighting for their life to make the playoffs. It gonna hit differently, and that's where it is. And he's acknowledged it, and he said, "I'm going to wear what I want. You're not going to tell him what to wear, which is fine, but you better start throwing touchdown passes. That's all. It doesn't matter, but it matters to people. You got to play better, and we're now at a point where if you're in this city, I don't know how many people are like all in on Stroud. There are some people who will say, look, the offensive line, Nick Caley, but you keep stacking those performances on top of each other, and it just becomes something you can't fight anymore. Even logically, you can go, you know what? Yeah, this system, this structure is bad. It's not going to help a quarterback achieve what they can at their ceiling. But as was pointed out this morning, Joe Burrow had one of the worst offensive lines in football. Now, of course, he had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and others, and Joe Mixon at the time, but he led that bad offensive line to the Super Bowl. So while I don't expect that, I don't think the Texans' weapons are as good as those Bengals at the time. If we accept that the system and the structure mean quite a bit to CJ's success, then you got to take him out of the top tier if you had him there. You got to start putting him, even if you don't feel like it, throw him in the Jared Goff category. And maybe I'm even insulting Jared Goff at this point. You got to start lowering him down the list if you believe that he is so hampered by play call, coordinator, players around him. Then he's more Brock Purdy than he is Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. Some of the guys you want your quarterback to be mentioned with when it comes to potential to go out and win Super Bowls. If he's, as I said before, if he's a victim of his environment, then put him in line with all those other victims of their environment. When the environment's good, they can be really good. The environment's bad, then they're just an average quarterback who you're always wondering how are we going to keep the environment at its very best if we got to pay him $55 million a year. We didn't want CJ to be that guy, but right now he appears to be that guy. Well, let's hear from CJ Stroud on the Texans' slow start. He leaned on Nick Caley this week because Nick Caley was part of a Rams group who started slow. They didn't start 2-6 like CJ's going to say, but I believe they're 2-4 and turned it around and made the playoffs. Here's CJ on trying to get over starting 0-3.
You know, I was talking to Kels, like, to Aaron's point, like, they were 2-6 last year, and everybody wrote them off. So that's what you give people an inch to take a mile. And I think that's the goal is, like, you know, to keep it internal and keep our eyes set on our goals, whatever it looks like. It changes. Like, if we went 3-0, it would look different. You know, we went 1-2, it would look different. So every year's going to look different. So, yeah, in high school, it definitely was tough, but I think it's preparing me. College, same thing. We lost to Oregon my second start ever, and I sucked too. Everybody hated me again. So, like, I'm kind of just, you know, like, it is what it is. And I just, you know, just stay true to my process and my beliefs and my faith.
Yeah, I looked at the Rams' schedule last year. They were 1-4 and then ripped off 3 in a row to get to 4-4. And, you know, they eventually play the Eagles in the Actually, know what I'm looking. Yeah, and they eventually played the Eagles in the playoffs and had a chance to win that game. Uh, CJ will tell you he doesn't keep receipts, but I feel like he's a guy who keeps receipts. Whether he brings them to a presser if they turn this around, I think he knows what people are saying, and he's certainly aware of it, whether he's reading or someone's mentioning it to him. So you hope it leads to better things where he gets motivated by the talk about his play and he flips it, and then you know how it goes. He starts playing better. They start winning. We will start to hold him in the high regard that a lot of people did before the year began, particularly coming off that rookie year. So he's aware. We'll see if Nick Caley offered some words of wisdom. You know what? I'd rather him offer up better play calls. That helps everyone. You know, I'm sure they can commiserate on the slow starts they've been a part of. Hey Nick Caley, how about you learned from that slow start in the offseason and had something set up where you weren't 0-3, and he is just one member of he's just one person who's to blame for all this. I think it stretches to the very top. Well, not the Cal or Hannah per se, but to Casario on down.